Hey everyone, it's Charlene. Today I'm going to be showing you 5 different ways to dress up your envelopes. The first is with heat embossing. Here I'm using the Berry Sweet stamp, and these are all going to go with cards that I've made. And you can see I've just stamped and I added some antique gold embossing powder, and now I'm using my heat gun to go ahead and melt that embossing powder. You can see I kind of took it off the edge of the corner of the envelope. That adds a little bit of interest. And now you have a nice little accent of heat embossing to match your card. I think it looks really nice. The second way you can dress up your envelopes is by using border dies. There's all kinds of different ones. I like to try and use a border die that goes with the card that I made. So you can see this card here. We've got the little ski monster and he's going down that snow slope right there. So I use the same slope and it's a stitched die, which looks really nice when it's cut. And then I'm just going to use some tape to adhere the die to the envelope so I can run it through my die cut machine. Just be careful when you're doing that. You don't want the cutting edge to go past where you are cutting on the envelope, and you also don't want to cut your envelope flap too thin because then it won't close and cover over the bottom part of the envelope. So just keep that in mind. So now I'm just going to run that through my die cutting machine, and you just peel off the end and you have this really cool looking stitched detail border. I really love how this looks. I think it just adds that extra little touch to your envelope so that it matches with your sweet little card that is inside. I hope you guys will try that one. So easy, and I think it makes a big difference. The third way to dress up your envelope is using a background stamp. Now, I am using the fruity background stamp here that I used in the background of my card. You can see there on the left. So when you're using a background stamp, just make sure to take out the foam insert that's in your MISTI. And then I'm just trying to line it up so that it kind of matches how I had it on my card. And then you just close your door and your stamp will adhere to the door of your MISTI. And then place your envelope flap down onto the stamp where you think you want the image to stamp. And you can see I'm going to move it up because I want it all to actually fit in the MISTI. And once you do that, then you can go ahead and add a little piece of double-sided tape or dot runner that you can erase afterwards with an adhesive eraser, just so you can flip your MISTI over and get it into the bottom part of your MISTI like you saw me do there. Now I'm just using a piece of copy paper. This is probably not necessary, but I really didn't want to potentially get any little spots of ink onto my envelope that weren't supposed to be there. You'll see it's kind of a moot point in a moment because I do end up getting a spot of ink that I did not want there, but that's okay. Easy fix, you'll see. So now I'm coming in with taffy, which is the darkest color that I used on my card that I stamped. This was multicolor eclipse stamping, and if you look at the recent hop that we had, you'll see there's a tutorial for how to make this card. So once you're done, you just stamp down and then you can take your envelope out, and you can see there kind of at the bottom of the flap. It's not super noticeable, but there is a little bit of ink. So I solved that just by using my mini trimmer here, and I'm just going to trim off the tiniest little bit in order to get that little ink spot off of there. So once that's done, you can see having that background stamp on the flap of the envelope just looks really lovely. It goes really well. Okay, the next way is dry embossing with dies. So this slimline cards will fit in a regular 10 business sized letter envelope. I don't have any like fancy slimline envelopes. I plan to get some. I need some, but I'm just using this business envelope, but you'll get the idea. So I'm coming in with some tape, and I'm going to go ahead and put the same Slimline Shamrock die that I used for the card. I'm putting it onto the envelope. Now to do this in the Spellbinders Platinum 6, which is what I have, you need to use the tan embossing mat, and there's instructions on the platform for how to do this. Now normally when you are dry embossing with a die, you use the blue embossing plate. Well, I found that was just a little too thick and it was causing the die to cut into my envelope. So instead, I used 2 pieces of cardstock as shims and then my regular plate on top. And I'm going to pull it out here and you can see it leaves this nice little impression on your envelope, and it's really cute. It matches what's inside. And again, like I said, I think this would look even nicer on a nice linen envelope or something like that. So the 5th way that you can dress up your envelopes is with just strips of pattern paper. Really easy. Now, this was just an extra piece of pattern paper that I had from making this other card, this with the little ski monster on there. And so I saved it. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And then I thought, oh, I can put that in the envelope. So you could cut out a bigger piece if you have more of the pattern paper you're wanting to use and have it line up all the way to the end and then just kind of trim around it. But this is really simple and easy, and it adds a nice little pop of color to the inside of your envelope there. You can see I just used some liquid adhesive, and then I'm just using my little weeding tool to kind of push it around so I can get it straight and right up against where the crease of the envelope is there. Once you get it in, you're just going to smooth it all down so you can make sure it stays adhered. This technique in particular works really well with 1-layer cards. This card has a little bit of dimension to it, so it has a little bit of trouble getting into the envelope, but it still works. All right, so let's just go back over. We've got pattern paper, we've got dry embossing with dies, we've got background stamp, we've got pierced border die, and then we also have the heat embossing. So these are all really fun. Thanks guys for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit that notification bell so you can continue to receive crafty content in the future. Until next time, happy crafting.